ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ji ki fateh. Welcome to the segment of Coach Gurbani's a-sabad-a-day. The recitation is from Gaudi Mahalla Tija, composition of the third Nanak Guru Amar Das. The recitation. Trai Vakhanai Bharam na jaye, ਬੰਧਨ ਨ ਟੁਟੈ ਮੁਕਤ ਨ ਪਾਇ, ਮੁਕਤ ਦਾਤਾ ਸਤਿਗੁਰ ਜੁਗ ਮਾਹੇ, ਗੁਰਮੁਖ ਪ੍ਰਾਣੀ ਭਰਮ ਗਵਾਏ, ਸਹਿਜ ਧੁਨ ਉਪਜੈ ਹਰ ਲਿਵ ਲਾਇ ਰਾਉ, ਤ੍ਰੈ ਗੁਣ ਕਾਲੈ ਕੀ ਸਿਰਕਾਰਾ, ਨਾਮ ਨ ਚੇਤ ਹੈ ਉਪਾਵਣ ਹਾਰਾ, ਮਰ ਜੰਮੈ ਫਿਰ ਵਾਰੋ ਵਾਰਾ, ਅੰਧੇ ਗੁਰ ਤੇ ਭਰਮ ਨ ਜਾਈ, ਮੂਲ ਛੋੜ ਲਾਗੇ ਦੂਜੇ ਭਾਈ, ਬਿਖ ਕਾ ਮਾਤਾ ਬਿਖ ਮਾਏ ਸਮਾਈ, ਮਾਇਆ ਕਰ ਮੂਲ ਜੰਤਰ ਪਰਮਾਏ, ਹਰ ਜੀਉ ਵਿਸਰਿਆ ਦੂਜੇ ਪਾਏ, ਜਿਸ ਨਦਰ ਕਰੇ ਸੋ ਪਰਮ ਗਤ ਪਾਏ, ਅੰਤਰ ਸਾਚ ਬਾਹਿਰ ਸਾਚ ਵਰਤਾਏ, ਸਾਚ ਨ ਛਪੈ ਜੇ ਕੋ ਰਖੇ ਛਪਾਏ, ਗਿਆਨੀ ਬੁਝੈ ਸਹਿਜ ਸੁਭਾਏ, ਗੁਰਮੁਖ ਸਾਚ ਰਹਾ ਲਿਵ ਲਾਏ, ਹਉ ਮੈਂ ਮਾਇਆ ਸ਼ਬਦ ਜਲਾਏ, ਮੇਰਾ ਪ੍ਰਭ ਸਾਚਾ ਮੇਲ ਮਿਲਾਏ, ਸਤਿਗੁਰ ਦਾਤਾ ਸ਼ਬਦ ਸੁਣਾਏ, ਥਾਵਤ ਰਾਖੈ ਠਾਕ ਰਹਾਏ, ਪੂਰੇ ਗੁਰ ਤੇ ਸੋਜੀ ਪਾਏ, ਆਪੇ ਕਰਤਾ ਸ੍ਰਿਸ਼ਟ ਸਿਰਜੀ, ਜਿਨ ਗੋਈ ਤਿਸ ਬਿਨ ਦੂਜਾ ਅਵਰ ਨ ਕੋਈ, ਨਾਨਕ ਗੁਰਮੁਖ ਬੂਝੈ ਕੋਈ, ਆਪੇ ਕਰਤਾ ਸ੍ਰਿਸ਼ਟ ਸਿਰਜਨ ਗੋਈ, ਤਿਸ ਬਿਨ ਦੂਜਾ ਅਵਰ ਨਾ ਕੋਈ, ਨਾਨਕ ਗੁਰਮੁਖ ਬੂਝੈ ਕੋਈ. So the central idea in the Rahau Pankti speaks about the delusion that we all suffer from. And this is delusion by design. It is the way that we have been constructed by the Creator. It is meant to be this way because it is all a play, you see. But we need, and the play is that we have to dissolve this delusion. We have to dispel it. We have to break out of it. That's the game. So, Trai Guna Vakhanai Bharam na jaye. So, as long as you perceive reality to be just the physical world around you, you're in a delusion. The delusion being that you're mistaking what is constantly changing, what is transitory, what is fleeting to be permanent. At another level, you fail to see that behind this perpetual physical existence is non-existence, which is a state that is not physical, and yet it impinges upon the physical world. The physical world is actually emanating out of or springing from this invisible world. We don't see that. And we get shackled and fettered to this physical world through our senses because we are essentially pleasure-seeking animals, and objects in the physical world impinge upon our senses, and we then live in this bubble of pleasure chasing and pain and running away from pain. So that's the delusion. We forget who we really are. Bandhan na tute mukta na paye, mukta data satgur jugamahe. So freedom from this delusion that fetters us is simply not possible as long as the mind perceives reality only in terms of material nature. And in this age, only Gur wisdom can deliver us from this delusion. Now we will notice that the third Nanak, Guru Amar Das, is, in his passages, is quite emphatic about utilizing the right method, the right means, the right approach to achieve proper ends. And we've noticed how in adjacent passages he strikes a similar tone, namely that with time our conception of the world as for ourselves, for the world, changes. And the change comes about in large part owing to advancement in knowledge. So we see ourselves differently, we view the world differently. One example being, in European thought at least, we thought that we were the center of the universe, and then suddenly you realize that no, not really. The earth was not the center of the universe. So advancements in knowledge bring about changes in conception, and how we view ourselves in relation to the universe changes as a result. So the Guru is saying, in this age, today, we cannot use the old methods. We have to turn inward and be enlightened by Guru wisdom. Wisdom and knowledge is the key to Gurmat. So there is a passage from Gurbani that was authored by Guru Amar Das, where he says, Chah juga ka hun nibeda, nar manukhanu ek nidhana. Nibeda, let me settle this once and for all. We have a treasure. Jat sanjam tirath ona juga ka taram. So, Jat is to control the senses, sanjam, disciplines, outward disciplines, tirath, pilgrimages. He says, Onna juga ka taram. These were perhaps the methods that were right for then. But today, meaning kal mein kirat har nama. Kirat har nama is cultivating virtue expressed through self-knowledge. Because he says further, Jugo Jug Apo Apna Dharam hai, Sod Dekhe Ved Purana. You will discover this truth if you actually study the scriptures, that you need appropriate messages. So Gurmat is the way. And the rest of the Shabad talks about why this deception arises. And he says, Trai gun kalle ki sarkar, because time governs us, and time creates, it casts a veil of illusion on us. It gives us the illusion of past, present, future. And that causes the mind to forget the Creator, because then we are simply thinking in terms of yesterday, today, tomorrow, and there arises in that thinking the fear of death. And so death and birth becomes perpetuated. And then what happens then is that we creatures are tricked by time away from our source. Maya kar mool jantar par maaye harjiyo visrya. The self is forgotten, but you need grace. Jis nadar kare so param gat paaye. Gat, movement towards your source, is a matter of grace. And he goes on to say that the self is in perpetual existence, inside and out. Antar sach, bahir sach vartaye. Inside and out, meaning it's visible and invisible at the same time, and it's perpetual. Sach na shapeh, Je ko rakhe shapaye, it cannot be concealed. Gyani bujjai, but this is a truth that is recognized by the wise, people with discernment. So the Gurmukh, this is the ideal in Sikhi. This is the person that is Guru guided. So the Guru guided attunes to the self by burning the ego, haume, and attachment. How does he do it? Through the wisdom of the self. Mera prabh sacha mel milaye. So discernment of the self, he goes on to explain, comes from the perfected master, pure gurte soji pai, meaning one who is enlightened, because an unenlightened master cannot obviously give you that discernment. So the master gives us the education to stop the wandering mind. This is how haume is burned. Dhavat rakhe thak rahe. What does he do or she do? Initiates you into the sabad, which is the message that comes from afar. Initiation into that shabad. Learning how to understand and discern that message. This is what the Gur does. And eventually the Gur and the Shabad are really synonymous. But in conclusion, the Guru says, Nanak, rare is the Gurmukh who cultivates this discernment. Namely, that there is no other creator. There's no one other than the Creator who creates and destroys. This is a discernment that we lack. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.